All right. Welcome to those who have joined us on our live feed for McCoy. My name is Hannah Swager, and today I am sitting here with Sarah Comfer, our Advocacy and Public Policy Director. So I am excited to talk today about McCoy's advocacy efforts, the work that we're doing in the community, and specifically our new efforts promoting the child tax credit for youth and families in Indianapolis. So, hi Sarah, how are you doing?
Hi Hannah, pretty good. Happy to be here. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me about this.
Thanks for being here. So can you start off just by telling us about you and the work that you do at McCoy?
Yeah, so I'm the Public Policy and Advocacy Director, as you mentioned before. In that role, I advocate for really any issue that affects children or their families or those who serve children and families. We work predominantly our advocacy efforts at the state level. Sometimes we'll dip our toes a little bit in some national level issues, and also sometimes we'll touch on some local level type things. But most of the time with my advocacy efforts, we advocate and work with other community members around the city and the rest of the state to advocate for policies that will improve the lives of children and families and those who serve them.
All right, thank you. So speaking more broadly, what does McCoy's advocacy work typically look like? What kind of activities do you do day to day with the community members and with lawmakers?
Well, it kind of depends on the time of year when we're talking. During the legislative session, that takes place basically from the very beginning of January until either March or April, depending on the year. That's our legislative session. Indiana has a part-time legislature, so that's when I'm spending a huge amount of time at the State House working in coordination with other advocates from around the state, other coalition members of which McCoy has membership, and just trying to take time to talk to legislators, whether it's just face-to-face at the State House in the hallway, or even providing testimony at committee hearings. Or sometimes, we'll do things like press conferences so that we can raise awareness about a particular policy issue that we're for or against, and want to share more information about why it's good or bad for kids and families in the state. When we're not in session, I also spend a lot of time doing advocacy trainings for other youth service organizations, other youth advocates, kind of you name it, people who are interested in getting more civically engaged at the State House. I like to work with them to be able to equip them and empower them to be able to advocate successfully for policy change. I also work a lot, as I mentioned, in coalitions. So I work closely with other partner organizations that have similar goals as we do in terms of improving the lives of children and families in our state. And so I work closely with them doing, organizing things like lunch and learns, different youth fellowships, and just different educational opportunities so that we can educate other community members in order to prepare them to advocate for policy change. And so, that's kind of day to day. It looks very different. It just depends on kind of the time of year that we're talking about and kind of what the needs are of the community.
Thank you. And I know that our advocacy efforts are kind of as needed and can be dictated by different movements that we're a part of. I know that you had a big part in the census in 2020, but now we are making efforts to spread the word about the child tax credit. So for those who are interested, what is the child tax credit? Can you walk us through what that is and who is eligible?
Yeah, so the child tax credit, many families may already know about this. This was a tax credit that was given on a monthly basis to families that have children living in their homes. And so this is just a little bit of additional money per month to support families with children. This can be used for anything from, food and clothing to, just better improve the lives and support the lives of children. I think it's really important, as the advocacy director, part of advocacy is educating, and so this is something that we're working on now that we're not in the legislative session. We're trying to advocate to educate our community about the child tax credit and make sure that they're aware that they're eligible if they have children living in their homes, and that they need to take advantage of this, because this could provide really helpful supports, I think, for families.
All right, thank you. Can you talk a little bit more about eligibility as far as who can claim that? Do you have to be the legal guardian of the child, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, any person who, any adult who lives in our state that has a child living in their home can qualify for this. Now, there are a lot of questions in terms of, if you are an immigrant, and you don't have a social security number, would you still qualify for this? Even if you don't have a social security number, you can still get payments for your children who do have social security numbers. Because under current law, receiving the child tax credit or any other tax credits would not affect immigration status, your ability to get a green card, or any future immigration plans. Additionally, I think a lot of people aren't aware of, if they've had a child recently. Basically, if you've had a baby in the year 2020 or 2021, you could get up to $5,000 in COVID stimulus payments and also child tax benefits for your baby. And this will work for, families who have very low incomes or even no incomes. Even if you don't normally file your taxes each year, you would still qualify for this payment. So I think it's really important to make sure that families are aware of that.
Okay, great. And for those, I know 2020 is a while ago now, we've all been through it. Mm-hmm. How would a family check to see if they are eligible for the tax credit and or if they've already claimed it?
So that's a really great question. We have access to a website now where people can quickly and easily enter their information to see if they've already gotten that credit or if they still are due that credit. And so what we recommend everybody goes to is, it's called getctc.org/INDY, I-N-D-Y. Again, that's getctc.org/INDY.
All right, thank you. And how long do families have in order to claim this credit for previous years?
So they have just a little while longer. We have until November 15th, I believe. It's